I, of course, want to talk about Bill Russell. Not only the greatest winner in the history of sports, but a true civil rights icon who passed away Sunday at the age of 88. So the Bill Russell off the court life is a remarkable one. The first black head coach in major American sports, man who was born in the 30s in Louisiana, moved north and dealt with racism and bigotry and attacks every step of the way. A man who, I think not coincidentally, after his time in Boston, and some of this stuff, DeMonze, I'm sure, and this is no shade here, you're unaware of it, while he was winning championships in Boston, he had his house broken into, they broke his trophies, they shit in his bed. When he would go on the road, he had his daughter wrote about how he would have his garbage cans every single time
tipped over.
And that he went to the police and said, this has to stop. And the cops were like, must be raccoons. And so he said, okay, then I want a gun permit. Right. And then all of a sudden it stopped. And not coincidentally, I don't think, Bill Russell then moved, I think, to the geographic opposite of Boston. He moved to an island off the coast of Seattle called Mercer Island. You could not get further away from Boston than he lived. And he lived there for the better part of 40 years. And he talked about how he played for his teammates, his coach, Red Auerbach, but not for the fans. And listen, there is a tortured history in a lot of cities, but famously Boston, of their relationship with their black stars. Bob Cousy was a great player. Havlicek was a great player. Larry Bird was a great player. None of them were as great as Russell was, yet there is, to this day, real questions about who the greatest Celtic was. And that had to do with the fact that Bill Russell was a black man, a proud black man, and marched right alongside Ali and King in the civil rights movement. And when Bill Russell, was getting death threats and the family asked the FBI to help, what the FBI did was open a file on him that referred to him as an arrogant Negro who would not sign autographs for white children. That's how the country, the city of Boston, the country as a whole, treated Bill Russell, okay? So that is the very, very short version of Bill Russell, the activist, Bill Russell off the court. And by the way, Bill Russell signed up for Twitter in his 80s to send out a tweet supporting Colin Kaepernick. His first tweet ever was him kneeling. He never stopped the activism. I don't want to gloss over that, but also as interested and educated as I am on that part of his life, there are other people in longer form that can pay a better tribute to that. So I would like to, for a moment here, talk about Bill Russell, the basketball player, because I think people know 8 titles in a row. They know 11 championships in 13 years. I still think it undersells how utterly dominant he was. One of the reasons I did my list the way I did it, the 50 best of the last 50, is not only because you can't get film and you can barely get fully accurate full box scores of those games in the late 50s and throughout the 60s, but also because Bill Russell causes a problem for any ranking. Because if we agree the goal of team sports is to win, then what do you do with a guy who lapped the field a couple times over when it comes to winning? And it wasn't just the 11 championships. It's that he never lost a do-or-die game in his basketball life. You hear this stat thrown around, but I want to emphasize it. Then we will go through the Bill Russell basketball life quickly and then move on to the show. Bill Russell, in the NCAA tournament, in the Olympics, and in game 7s of the NBA, or do-or-die game 5s of the NBA when it's 5-game series, play 21 games where the winner advances and the loser goes home. College, Olympics, and the pros. His teams were 21-0 in those 21 games. He got to the University of San Francisco, and within a year, Sports Illustrated wrote an article saying that college basketball might have to change the rules because of him, and they did a year later. They widened the lane to try to minimize his defensive impact. He then went on a 55-game collegiate winning streak, winning 2 national championships. He then won the gold in the Olympics. He then gets to Boston. And this is where we're going to, similar to how we have on our NBA list, go year by year, but I will do it quickly. This Boston Celtics had Bob Cousy already. He was about to win league MVP. They had never made a finals. They made the finals the first 10 years of Russell's career. They made the finals 12 of the 13 years he played. So his very first year in the league, Game 7, NBA Finals against the, at that moment, best player in basketball, Bob Pettit. He has 19 points and 32 rebounds in a 2-point double overtime win. The next year, they are playing Pettit in the finals again. Russell sprains his ankle, misses Game 4, misses Game 5, is a shell of himself, barely plays in Game 6. Pettit hangs 50 on him. And Russell, if you listen to Bill Simmons, still bitter about that, says, I was injured. So how did he respond? Well, he won 8 championships in a row. But what's amazing about when you hear 8 titles in a row, you think, oh my God, they were just far and away better than everyone. But the thing is, they weren't.
Those were close games.
They were close games in 7-game series. 59 to get to the finals. They're in a Game 7 against Syracuse. And my old landlord in college, believe it or not, Dolph Shays, whose son, Danny Shays, people maybe remember, probably not. Dolph Shays, a great player. Russell beats him by 5 in a Game 7. Then they sweep the Minneapolis Lakers. And is Mikan still on that Lakers team? I think he is. I got to double check that. They sweep Mikan's not still on the Lakers team. My apologies. But Elgin Baylor is. And they sweep them to win the title. That's championship number 2. The next year, he beats Wilt to get to the conference finals, or to get to the finals, and then in the NBA finals, plays Bob Pettit again, a Game 7, has a 22-point, 35-rebound game to win title number 3. The very next year, he's in the finals against Bob Pettit again. This one doesn't go 7. In 5, they win. He has a 30-point, 38-rebound game to win ring number 4. The very next year, he plays Wilt in a Game 7 to get to the finals. Beats him by 2. In the finals, plays Jerry West. It's a Game 7. That Game 7 goes to overtime. Russell plays all 53 minutes, has 30 points and 40 rebounds.
These rebound totals are crazy.
They're insane. They played a super fast pace and missed a lot of shots. They're still insane. That's ring number 5. The very next year, there's another Game 7 to get to the finals. This is against Oscar Robertson in Cincinnati. He, of course, wins with a 20-24, and then they win the title against the Lakers. Poor Jerry West, this time in 6. That is ring number 6. That is 5 in a row. The next year, it's nice and easy. They win the title in 5. That's ring number 6. The very next year, they're playing Philadelphia. It's a Game 7. Philadelphia, of course, has Wilt Chamberlain. Russell wins that Game 7 to get to the finals by 1 point, playing all 48 minutes against Wilt and holding Wilt, if you will, to 30, which back in the day, holding Wilt to 30 is a hell of an accomplishment.
Right.
They then beat the Lakers again, poor Lakers, in the finals. He has a 20-30 to win that title. I've lost track. I think that's ring 7 and 6 in a row. The very next year, they have an easy one. They win the title. Oh, no. They get to the title easily, but another Game 7, another game against the Lakers, another time Jerry West is so close. They win Game 7 by 2 points. He has 25 points and 32 rebounds. That is, I want to make sure I have this right. That is title number 9. No, maybe I'm confused. I've lost track at this point. That is That is title number 9, 8 in a row. The next year, they lose. Before the finals, Wilt and the Sixers get them in the conference finals. So you know what happens? He becomes player coach, and they win 2 more rings. How do they win those 2 more rings? They beat Philly in a game 7 by 4 points, and then to get to the finals, and then they beat the Lakers in 6, and then his final year in the league, in the final game he'll ever play, another game 7 against the Los Angeles Lakers that they win by 2. So the reason I say all that is, it's not just that he won 5 MVPs and did all that winning. It's also, it is impossible to look at how close those games were and the fact that he never came out on the short end of it and come to any conclusion other than he understood what it took for his team to win better than any athlete we've ever seen. So again, that was, and by the way, his athletic career was not the most important part of his life. It was the off the court stuff. But on the court, pardon me, earmuff kids, that was a bad motherfucker, man. The guy came to college, was a track star, learning basketball. And as soon as he picked it up a little bit, won 2 national championships, then an Olympic gold medal, then in a 13-year NBA career, made the finals 12 times, won 11 rings, and the one time he didn't win in the finals, he missed 2.5 games with injury.
Right.
An all-timer by any measure, the great and incomparable Bill Russell. Hey, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to get more from the show, and make sure to click the bell to get notified every time new content drops. Check out full episodes of What's Right wherever you get your podcasts, or just click the link in the description below.